You're listening to Living Beyond with Hope. Hey, that's me.
Welcome to the podcast. This podcast is meant to help you realize you're more than a label, and you too can create a life you love despite it. Each week, we bring you tips and inspiring messages to help you take the positive steps in your health that will allow you to live beyond. Now sit back, relax, meal prep, or take a walk as you dig into today's topic with your host, a gal living her life to the fullest with type 1 diabetes, Hope Mangiafico.
One of the biggest mistakes that I notice that people do when they're living with diabetes is think that this is what life looks like. Once you get the diagnosis, you have this thought process that like, this is the rest of my life. Forever, I'm going to have to take 10 injections a day, or I'm going to have to take this pill that my doctor prescribed me. Or another thought process that I think, and I'm not going to be a hater on the healthcare system and doctors. I don't have the best healthcare, but it's okay. But one thing, especially children, that I see a lot is that they tell you, you can be like everyone else, just give insulin. You can be like everyone else, just take your medication. And I think the biggest mistake that people with diabetes make is thinking that this new diagnosis is just how it is. So they're going to continue to be like everyone else just because their doctor said they could, and they believe that they're stuck on having to forever take multiple injections, take multiple pills, and have the terrifying complications. And that's where I want to go ahead and bust this mistake that people make, because it doesn't have to be that way. For me, as someone living with type 1 diabetes, where insulin keeps me alive, insulin keeps most of us alive. If you have a working pancreas and it just stops working and you don't catch it soon enough, it can kill you, and that's so scary. But one thing that's so cool is that for me, I thought for many years that 10 injections a day was normal. It's what I was supposed to do. It's what everyone else I knew was doing that had diabetes, and I just accepted it. Along with all the bruises that I get. I still get bruises, but I thought it was fine to have bruises every single time I gave injections, or where my pump site was, where all the scar tissue would build up. So you have it's so weird. You have lumpy skin, and then you become unhappy with who you are and what you look like. And I know that doesn't feel good, but it doesn't have to be that way. And for people with type 2 diabetes, I know their mindset's a little different than people with type 1, but I believe that with type 2, creating this mindset shift that you can stop at diabetes and exercise, and you don't have to start taking a pill. You never have to go on insulin, but you have to realize that this is in your hands. It's such a controllable disease, and I believe that the way that it's portrayed in media, the way it's portrayed really everywhere, whether it's type 1 or type 2, it's awful. You don't have to accept the fact that when you're first diagnosed and throughout your journey with diabetes, that you were taking 10 shots a day, multiple units of insulin, and you think that, oh my gosh, insulin's gonna make me gain weight, it's gonna ruin my life. No, we can't think that way. There's a positive side to this disease, and I know it sounds crazy, but it's so true, and we have to immediately change our mindset on that. Because if I could do it, you can change this. And you've got to stop this mistake, because you have a bright future ahead of you. When I say bright, I'm not kidding. I can see what people's goals are. I have been told what people believe is diabetes success, to be able to travel, to be able to see their great grandkids grow up, to be able to have the energy that they desire. And to be able to do that, you can't allow this to limit you. My goal for everyone is to help everything come together. So perhaps you have been told all these things by your doctor or other people. Maybe you have a big diabetes community, or it's a growing community, and you see how people are doing things. You're not sure if it's right, and then you've heard all these mixed things about nutrition, and then these things about exercise, and you're like, what do I do? That's my goal, is to help you kind of segue and lead you down the right path so you know exactly what brings success. And it works, and that's what's so exciting, and it goes beyond just expanding your lifespan and losing weight. It goes so much more, and at the end of the day, you feel better, feel happier, and all you have to do is change your mindset and realize that normal is living like everyone else, as in living the amount of time in this world like everyone else, making an impact in this world like everyone else, and feeling the best that you can be. So, with that being said, there are 3 things that you can do to really just demolish this mistake. And I've been there, and so like, if you're like, oh yeah, my doctor made me feel like this is just life. My doctor told me like I can eat my pizza, and you can, just don't overdo it. And there's low carb alternatives, so yay. So that's what's really exciting, and good low carb alternatives, and you're not in a state of deprivation, and you can't think that either. That's all this mindset stuff is the mistake. You got to remember that this is not a state of deprivation. This is not something you're forced to do. You want to feel good, and that's what's key. So the first step is you have to ask yourself, is what I'm about to do, is what I'm about to eat, is what I'm about to even think about, and it'll become habit. So I know it sounds like, oh my gosh, Hope, I have to think about this stuff all the time. Just like diabetes is something you think about all the time, this will become second nature, and it's almost like replacing your over-consuming thoughts that you have about your diabetes, always having to have numbers in the back of your head and always having to worry about what's going in your mouth. Once you implement these types of steps and thinking about, will this help me, your amount of stress and constant worry will begin to decrease. You want to ask yourself, will this help support my goals? And will this kind of break the stereotypes of diabetes? So whether you have type 1 or type 2, and a lot of people don't know what type 1 is, but even if you don't know what type 1 is, there's still a stereotype about us. And it's really heavy with the type 2s, but you have to remember that these stereotypes, whether that's from outsiders or from your doctor, that you're so much more than that. And that starts with deciding if you're picking up some ice cream, I don't know, picking up some food, and you're about to take a bite, think, is this falling to the trap of the stereotype? Is this going to help make me different than everyone else and allow me to live the life that I desire? And this is applicable no matter what age you're at, because if you're a child newly diagnosed, I do have a few children that tune in here, so that's pretty awesome. But if you're a child, you have so much time ahead of you, and who knows, maybe a cure will come. But if you do these things and you have fun with your friends and you have help with your parents helping creating low carb delicious alternatives like cupcakes and stuff, like they're there and they're delicious, you are going to be so awesome and healthy and succeed in so many ways that I can't even emphasize, because you're incredible. And when that cure does come, you're going to be so well off, and you're going to be the most normal, awesome, feel good kind of person out there. It's going to be pretty rad. So no matter what stage of life you're in, no matter what type of diabetes you have, starting with this thought process will allow you to be exactly the person that you want to be. No joke. And by the way, that first question will allow you to gain the 10 years back that people say diabetes shortens your life. And that's enough, in my opinion, to motivate me to make some changes. Number 2, challenge your doctor. They don't really follow my way of life. They don't believe that it's possible, and this goes back to what I was talking about earlier. They don't believe that my way of life is safe, because they don't think that it's possible to decrease your A1C into a normal range with type 1 diabetes, because they think that means you're always low and you're always like overdosing insulin, and they don't ask questions, and they don't leave room for you to ask questions. So take a stand and be sure to challenge your doctor with everything that they say, everything that they do, because at the end of the day, you care about yourself more than anyone else, and you deserve to have the attention that you need to prosper. And it's made me bitter. It's made me so bitter with healthcare, but it's also taught me that I gotta take care of myself. And so you've got to do that too. And challenge them if they Like for me, they asked me to not come back for 6 more months because they're like, oh, you're fine. And I like to have my A1C done every 3 months. I know that my blood sugars are relatively stable, but things happen. It's not always perfect, but it's life. I woke up good, but I've been riding in the upper, in the 160s. And what's so cool about that is in the past, that wouldn't upset me. But now I'm like, dude, I can be below 140 all day, feel great, have energy levels like no one's business. And so now it upsets me, but it's a good thing because, again, I know that my future is looking real bright and I don't want to mess that up. Number 3 is creating a visual. Now, if you know much about me, you know I created a chain link, a paper chain link. So what I call the chain link challenge. And really this allows you to really see your progress and what you're doing, whatever your goal is. Having a visual like that will help you overcome this mistake that people make, because this will guide you, this chain link will guide you in the right path and motivate you, because once your chain link is complete and hits the ground, you get something awesome. So what will help motivate you stay on task? And this is applicable for any age, because for a child, if the parent is in control of the chain link, one, that you could do so many cool things when it hits the ground, but you can do little things. For adults, it could be weight, it could be how you eat, it could be smoking, it could be anything, really. It could be so many things. So it's up to you with the creativity, but that's what you gotta do.
Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. It means the world to me to be able to serve you and help you live beyond. If you found today's episode helpful or beneficial or share-worthy, I would love a review in iTunes. A review in iTunes allows me to know what was helpful and allows us together to continue to change lives and help other people live beyond their diagnosis or label. And if you did find this share-worthy or helpful, be sure to subscribe to this podcast. If you're on an Apple device, you can go to the podcast app or the iTunes store and type in Living Beyond with Hope, and there you can subscribe or listen to other episodes. When you subscribe, this allows you to know when there's a new podcast release. If you're on an Android device, no worries, I got you. All you have to do is download the Stitcher app and search for Living Beyond with Hope there and subscribe there. You can also go to www.livingbeyondwithhope.com if you would like to listen to the episode again, if you would like to see the show notes and any links that were mentioned in this episode. Today's episode was also brought to you by my Living Beyond the Label audiobook. If you enjoyed this and you like hanging out with me in your ear, then you would love to get your hands on this audiobook. It helps us together strategize your best and most balanced life. If you want to learn more about it and to get your hands on the audio and the worksheets that go with it, you can go to www.mybalanceplan.com. The link is also in the show notes, and there you'll be able to start strategizing your best life. Have an amazing rest of your day, and remember to keep living beyond.